I slammed the brakes in my driveway that afternoon. My heart hammered like a loose piston in my throat. The garage door screamed halfway up and froze. Two massive mud-caked diesel trucks sat parked inside my garage. Thick diesel fumes rolled out in choking black waves. Oil stains spread across my clean concrete like fresh bruises. My stomach dropped straight to the floor. Then pure rage detonated behind my eyes. This was no mistake. This was a straight-up home invasion by the HOA queen herself. There she stood, Karen Thornberry, our beloved HOA president. Clipboard clutched like a loaded gun. Perfect helmet hair. Smug little smile that screamed untouchable power. She wore her usual loud floral power suit stretched tight over her wide frame. Fake pearls bouncing as she shifted her weight. Her husband's construction company logo screamed across both trucks like a threat. "What the hell are your trucks doing in my garage?" I shouted across the driveway. "Emergency protocol," she sneered back. "I have master access codes. It's for the good of the community." One truck belonged to her husband's crew. The other was her personal diesel monster. They had parked while I was at work. Then they slapped a violation notice on my front door. That moment I knew. Karen had declared war on the wrong machinist. My name is Ezra Caldwell, 52 years old, third-generation aerospace machinist. My hands are scarred, burned, and calloused from building parts that keep fighter jets flying. I don't argue. I engineer solutions. 6 months earlier, my Aunt Millicent left me this modest 1960s ranch house in Maplewood Heights. Quiet corner lot. Detached single-car garage that barely fit my pride and joy. My dad's restored 1985 Chevy pickup. That truck wasn't just metal. It was 3 generations of Caldwell sweat and love. Karen had been circling my property for months, measuring grass with a ruler like a dictator, photographing my trash bins at dawn, issuing fines like she was collecting souls. Her husband's company conveniently handled every correction for a fat fee. Then the city announced street resurfacing. Normal neighbors ask for help. Karen seized garages without notice, without consent, without any real authority. That night I dug through my aunt's old paperwork. Musty cardboard smell filled the room. I found the original 1962 subdivision deed buried under recipe cards. My hands shook as I unfolded the yellowed paper. According to the surveyor, my corner lot extended 15 feet into what Karen claimed was common area.
The fountain. The garden.
Even part of the community center. Karen hadn't just stolen my garage space. She had been squatting on my land for 60 years. Every assessment, every maintenance bill, every board meeting she ran on stolen ground. While her truck sat locked in my garage, I now held legal dynamite. The next morning, the cavalry rolled up. 2 police cruisers, a tow truck, and Karen already in full meltdown. She shrieked from the driveway. "He's illegally imprisoning community vehicles." The officer stayed calm. "Ma'am, those vehicles are parked on his private property. That's trespassing." "Trespassing," she squealed, voice cracking. "This was authorized under HOA bylaws." I handed over the deed copies. "No emergency clause lets you seize garages." I never consented. Then I dropped the real bomb. "Officer, the entire HOA has been operating on land that legally belongs to me, including the community center." The original deed shut her up fast. "Adverse possession," she stammered, trying to sound smart. "Requires hostile use without consent," I replied coolly. "Bad surveys don't count, sweetheart." The tow truck operator grinned and hooked up the first truck. Metal scraped concrete as her power got physically dragged away. "This isn't over," she hissed at me. "Oh, it absolutely is," I said, smiling. "You just don't know it yet." Her retaliation came fast and sloppy. A fake legal letter demanding $5,000. State Bar confirmed the firm never existed. Then came her gift. That same evening, her crews started hammering no parking signs on my land. No permits. No authorization. I photographed everything while calling code enforcement. By the time the inspector arrived, Karen had stacked unpermitted work, destruction of evidence, and fresh trespass. "About $15,000 in fines," the inspector muttered. Ladies got nerve. Her final desperate move was an emergency HOA meeting. I arrived early with a licensed surveyor, my attorney, and Jessica Martinez from Channel 7 News. The room went dead silent when we walked in. My attorney spoke first. "This entire building sits partially on Mr. Caldwell's land." Gasps rippled like a wave. Jessica delivered the kill shot on camera. Financial records show Thornberry Construction pocketed over $200,000 in HOA contracts, all for work done on Mr. Karen dropped her clipboard. Residents stared at her like she had set their houses on fire. In that fluorescent-lit room, the flawless suburban tyrant started to unravel. Her mouth opened and closed like a beached fish. My attorney continued smoothly. "Mrs. Unauthorized signs yesterday count as willful destruction of evidence. The district attorney is pursuing criminal charges." That's when she broke completely. "This is a conspiracy," she screamed, pointing a shaking sausage finger at me. "He locked our trucks like a criminal. He's destroying this community with lies." The irony tasted sweeter than revenge. She was melting down inside a building that sat on my land, accusing me of the exact crimes she had run for years. "Karen," I said calmly, slicing through her hysteria, "I didn't destroy your little kingdom. I simply exposed it." I turned to the residents who had suffered under her for a decade.
Every fine, every threat,
Every violation notice, all based on authority she never legally owned. This wasn't community service. It was a criminal enterprise wearing pastel suits. The room erupted in applause. People who stayed silent for years finally saw their oppressor stripped bare on live news. "The trespassing charges I filed this morning are only the beginning," I continued. "Property fraud, embezzlement, practicing law without a license, unpermitted construction." Karen has built quite the case against herself. By the time the meeting cleared, Karen sat alone at the head table, surrounded by empty chairs and the smoking wreckage of her fake empire. Her kingdom of petty power was gone. But the real revelation came afterward. One by one, neighbors approached me quietly. "Mrs. Me a thick folder. She tried to seize my flower bed 2 years ago. I kept everything." Mr. showed photos of Thornberry Cruz using his cul-de-sac as a free storage yard. Mike, the blacklisted contractor, delivered the final blow. "She kept a priority list," he whispered. "Contractors who kicked back profits to her husband got the jobs."
take the play.
Jessica's eyes lit up, reviewing the evidence. "This isn't HOA harassment," she said. "This is organized racketeering." 3 days later, Karen made her last fatal mistake. I woke to diesel engines roaring outside my window, dump trucks,
A backhoe.
concrete barriers. Her text buzzed in. "Emergency restoration begins today." She was trying to permanently block my land during active litigation. Police arrived just in time. Her husband shouted orders to destroy survey stakes, broadcasting his confession across the whole site. The concrete barriers she poured sat abandoned, half-buried, and crooked. Useless monuments to arrogance poured too fast and thought through too little. Yellow police tape fluttered in the breeze. Evidence markers dotted the ground like period marks at the end of her reign. I stood in my driveway holding the garage keys, the same keys that started this beautiful disaster. Diesel stains still darkened the concrete, permanent reminders of the day Karen decided my property was hers. She thought stealing a parking spot would scare me into silence. Instead, she triggered a chain reaction that exposed decades of fraud, dismantled a criminal operation, and landed herself and her husband in county jail. The Queen's final gambit hadn't just failed. It collapsed inward so spectacularly she basically arrested herself. That evening, news vans clogged the streets. Satellite dishes bloomed like metal flowers. Neighbors gathered laughing, shaking heads in disbelief, watching justice finally show up where fear once lived. I reflected on the simple truth. When I locked those trucks in my garage, I wasn't starting a crusade. I was just protecting what was mine. That single refusal to submit forced her entire dirty operation into daylight, where it could not survive. Every desperate escalation she tried only created more evidence. More fines. More charges. I didn't have to outsmart her. I just let her keep digging. Federal prosecutors later called my garage the thread that unraveled a countywide racket. Over $2 million stolen from homeowners. 12 different HOA boards involved. The same pattern everywhere. Inflated contracts.
Kickbacks.
Fake violations to create urgency. My stubborn garage door had accidentally triggered the biggest HOA fraud investigation in state history. Karen thought she could bully one machinist. Instead, she engineered her own spectacular downfall. And in the end, the community she claimed to protect finally breathed free. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. Simply refusing to move. And when petty tyrants in pastel suits finally fall, the laughter that follows is the sweetest justice of all.